True living Africa. True living Africa.
Africa, and welcome to True Living Africa. I'm Oyin Talabi.
And I'm Uyok Hansen.
And we're your wellness coaches.
We are here to support you on your journey to stay well. Follow us on Instagram at True Living Africa and at African Business Radio on Instagram, Twitter, and www.africabusinessradio.com.
So guys, how are you coping with the lockdown? It's been eased up here in Nigeria, but how have you been coping generally?
Well, so far so good, I'd say. At first, it wasn't as good. Obviously, we went through the 4 or 5 stages of grief.
What happened?
It was really stressful, especially with the homeschooling, the little ones, a few health issues, just making sure that your immune system is, up to scratch and living with the fear of the uncertainty of everything that was going on.
And that's really what we're talking about today, the immune system and how it is that we're going to keep that boosted, especially now that the lockdown is being eased up across different countries in Africa. How are we going to... It's being eased up, but also in Nigeria, there's this fear that we're also in the community transmission stage.
And we are going to basically reinfect one another.
And there's so many people that are carriers, but are not necessarily showing symptoms. So, like we've always said, this whole coronavirus period, pandemic season is going to show what's on our inside.
Exactly.
Our immune system, it's definitely going to show up. That's what's going to save us. So how are we going to deal with this? How do we protect ourselves? How do we stay healthy, stay well, and not continue to transmit the disease? That's what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. So basically, yes. So today we're talking about building your immune system. And we've heard so much about building your immune system, and we want to just separate the fact from the fiction today, and give our listeners actionable, useful tips on how to go about building your immune system. Essentially, when viruses come and attack, they're going to be meeting what's already been built up. You really don't want to be hustling to build your immune system during the time of disease. You know what I mean? So you're actually in a better position when you're able to do that.
So before Uyo goes into how we're going to boost our immune system, I thought I'd share with you my little analogy of what the immune system is. So I like to think of the immune system as the army of your body. That's your internal army. That's your defense army, basically.
Yes.
And so it's there to protect your body from any invaders, any viruses coming in, any bacteria coming in. Your immune system kicks into action. And there are different layers of it, okay? So the biggest organ and the biggest defense system is your skin. And that's on the outside. So the viruses first come in contact with your skin. And notice that all the WHO guidelines are first about cleaning your hands and having safe distances from people. And also, that's your immune system. It's your internal army. And like any army, it needs to be ready for battle. And that's where the boosting of it comes in. You're getting it ready for any battle, any invaders that come in. And the interesting thing with the coronavirus is that your immune system's response is going to be adaptive because your body does not have the antigens to fight it, meaning that it doesn't have the weapons to fight this particular enemy. So what your body's intelligence has to be very high in that once it comes into contact, once your body comes into contact with the coronavirus, it's going to send in like spies and a small part of its army to go test and see what is the weapon that we need against this one. Then it's going to go back in and quickly adapt. So now your intelligence system has to be spot on.
Right.
Okay, so that your body can respond very quickly. So now over to you, Uyok. How do we get ourselves spot on?
Right. So when we talk about immune system, the stuff that feeds the army, that makes the army strong, are what we call our vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
That's what everyone knows, just off the face of it.
Yeah.
Even though there are other things that we're going to go into, but your first line of defense is how do you strengthen that army?
Yeah.
Through your vitamins and minerals. And we know our basic vitamins. Yeah. So the key fact number one is really eating a balanced diet. Mm-hmm. And when we say a balanced diet, a lot of things come to people's mind. They think about, raw foods, or, it could be a combination of different things.
Yeah.
And just eating enough and eating a balanced diet. Food is good. It's good to eat, but not all foods are created equal.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's because when people think about vitamin C and they think about their lemons and they think about, there are some trace minerals that the body also needs apart from your basic vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and K. And these trace minerals are lacking in a lot of people, what we call micronutrient deficiencies.
Yeah.
They're even, in developed countries, they have a lot of micronutrient deficiencies because people tend to overlook those trace minerals and vitamins like your magnesium, your selenium. And those are things that are important to your immune
system.
Yes, immune system function. So eating a balanced diet, and when it's balanced, it's not just your rice and beans. We're talking about a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables, because it's with fruits and vegetables that you will find all those trace minerals.
So are you advocating more raw or cooked? How do we keep it?
Then again, you don't want to overcook your vegetables, because overcooking tends to kill off your minerals and vitamins. You want to eat raw as much as your stomach can take. But for those people who don't really do well with a lot of vegetables, they can get supplements.
Okay.
So you have your multivitamins that you can take once a day or twice or 3 times a day. So these things are out there, but you have to do your research and make sure that these are great brands and they actually work. But it's not everything that you're going to see on the shelf that claims to be an immune booster that actually is.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you can stick with your fresh fruits and your fresh vegetables, you can eat them raw, you can steam them, you can stir fry them. Just go to town. There are so many different recipes that you can.
You can make a smoothie as well.
Yes, you can blend them. Exactly. Like for me, the best way for me to down my vegetables is to blend them.
Yeah.
Suffering through a salad can be and I'm sure many Nigerians
many people feel you
share that sentiment.
Yeah.
So they're like, what's all this salad business? So you can put your lettuce, your cucumbers, your parsley, your mint, and all of that in a blender, blend it down and drink it. It's a great detox drink and immune booster.
And that's so interesting. I do not I'm not keen on juices and smoothies. Smoothies I can bear, but I'd rather eat a salad, or I'd rather eat my vegetables steamed or stir fried. So interesting.
Yeah. So do you. So whatever works. You have to find a way that it works for you. The key thing is to take them in.
Yeah.
To take in your vitamins and through your fruits and your vegetables. And so the next thing we're going to come to for boosting your immune system is exercise.
Yeah.
And you
can't flog that enough.
You can't flog it enough. But people think when you say, exercise, they think it's a platitude. It's really not a platitude. People think you're just saying it like when you say, you suffered a lot. It is well. Go exercise.
Yeah.
That's because exercise works.
Yeah.
Exercise helps with your blood circulation and that keeps things going.
Yeah.
And the only thing with the exercising is that when you overdo it.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
Yes, overdoing your exercise actually compromises your immune system because then it puts your immune system under stress. So you know how we said fact versus fiction?
Yeah.
These things are great, but sometimes in excess, it's not so good.
Yeah.
So kind of like your fruits and vegetables and your balanced diet, people know that vitamins are essential for your immune system. But guess what? They tend to focus on vitamin C.
Yeah, true.
And so they go overdose on vitamin C. Like,
and forget all the others.
When this pandemic came out and we went to the store, we couldn't find vitamin C for 3 days.
I was one of those encouraging people. Take your vitamin C.
So people are overdosing on vitamin C. But what we're forgetting is that vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin.
Yeah.
So the body does not store it.
Yeah.
So overdosing, while it may not harm you, but some people it does, because overdosing of vitamin C will give you diarrhea.
Very true. True.
And once you start to have the runs with vitamin C, you know that your body has reached its threshold. You really need to step
down.
it. Yeah. So overdosing of vitamin C is not the way. So you need to have the other minerals and vitamins.
Balance out.
So same thing with exercise. In moderation, it's good. It builds up your immune system. In excess, it compromises.
So how do you know what is moderation for you?
So this thing we have in fitness circles when we say workout to failure.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes working out to failure doesn't work for the mass.
Yeah.
The largest part of the population. Workout to failure is good for those bodybuilders who have been at the game for a long
So
time.
they understand their bodies.
They understand their bodies. But beginners, you don't want to go from a couch. You don't want to go from couch potato to 10K.
To training for the marathon.
Yes,
Feel you.
overnight.
Yeah.
You want to build into it. And aspects of exercise such as flexibility and cardio, you don't rush those things.
Yeah.
So you run the risk of injuring yourself. So when you start to work out and you feel exhausted and it's hard to recover, or you do a weightlifting session and it takes you several days to recover, then
You've overdone it.
You've overdone it. So you want to take it gradually. So that's what it is.
Okay.
The next thing, we're talking about sleep.
Sleep is important.
Our 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's another thing that people say, oh yeah, get 6 to 8 hours of sleep. They hear it a lot.
Yeah.
And they kind of wonder, okay, but I sleep now, it's okay. But there's sleep and there's quality
And
sleep.
the sleep.
Yes. I found out just recently that when you sleep and you twist and you bend your spine, you could wake up with aches and pains.
What does bend your spine?
So you know how you sleep and kind of like your bottom half is straight, but then your top half is like that? Or you just end up all over the bed.
Okay.
So it's better to sleep in a position where your spine is straight as much as possible.
Where you're as aligned as possible.
Yes, especially if you can't afford all those very expensive, orthopedic mattresses.
Yeah.
So this is especially for people who suffer aches and pains a lot. Like, oh, my knee hurts, my hip
It
hurts,
might be
my back.
how you're sleeping.
Exactly.
Very true. So you can sleep with on your back, put a pillow under your knees.
Exactly.
You can sleep on your side and put a pillow again in between your knees. The idea of that is to help keep your hips aligned so that you're not weighing down your waist and all that.
Yes.
Okay, that's
interesting.
interesting.
Sleep ergonomics is very important
very
to
important.
sleep quality.
And this is a good time to catch up on sleep because once we get back into that rat race, everybody's like, oh, I don't sleep well. So this is a good time to catch up.
And depriving yourself of sleep will actually compromise your immune system because your body hasn't had time to shut down,
And
repair. And there are critical hours in the day when this happens at an optimum.
Yeah.
And those hours are between 2 a.m. and 4:30 a.m.
Okay.
So if you're up in that time, then you just know that by the time you're getting on with your day, you're not going to be feeling fresh, you're not going to be feeling alert, And so that's why it's important to catch those critical hours of sleep. And for some people, 8 hours may be too much.
Yeah.
They could
Totally
do 6.
agree.
Yes. Yeah. You could do 6 hours. You could even do 5. But the critical times, you need to be shut down for your body to renew, for your cellular renewal
to happen,
to take place. And that helps you. That helps your body's defenses against disease.
Good stuff. What else you got?
So the last thing we've talked about vitamins, and the last thing we've got is stress.
Yeah.
Stress is a big one.
Stress is a big one, particularly now.
Also because what constitutes stress to you may not constitute stress to me.
Very important point, though.
Very. Like now I'm homeschooling. I can't stress this enough.
Uyok has a story about that. Please share with us how it was.
It's stressful.
How was it the first day?
So the first week was really just sort of getting around the tech challenges with homeschooling. You take so many things for granted, especially here in Nigeria. Like you take for granted that your Wi-Fi is available, but really it's not all the time. You take for granted that, like I think about people who don't have 24-hour electricity. You're going to have to make sure that you don't have breaks in transmission and so forth.
That's so true.
And your operating system on the laptops and the iPads and all of that have to be up to scratch, up to speed, and the kids have to know how to use them independently.
Oh, wow.
But independently, we're still working towards that. So it's a full-time job. And then the kids think, this is really not for me. It's for mommy. So mommy, come do your thing. They brought you another assignment. Come and
wow.
see. And you're like, what? So, I went through disbelief and I went through anger, and I went through deep sadness.
Oh, wow.
And eventually, so I've come to a place where I've accepted it, but I'm not really optimistic about it yet.
Oh, wow.
And so that really gave me a lot of stress. And when you have stress and you're not eating well and you're not sleeping well, you start to have the sniffles, you're tired all the time. You see that,
you're irritable.
You're irritable. And you see that maybe you have a cough or a cold that is just not going away.
Yeah.
Because your body can't fight
your
this
body's
stuff.
stressed.
Yes. So it's important. And then right now we have people whose jobs are on the line.
Yeah.
These things are stressful.
Yeah.
And we have to know how to deal with stress, which, we talked about, extensively in another episode, how to deal with stress. And what's the worst that could happen? You really have to find a way
to deal with that.
To deal with stress. And there's a popular saying that you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created the problem. So we have to find a way to transcend what the problem is. So either through meditation or prayers for those of us who are religious, and connecting to the universe or the divine to be able to help us transcend
faith.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the fastest ways to actually build your immunity. So from everything that we've said, we can actually see that our immune system is on 3 levels. So it's on the physical level, it's on the mental level, and it's also on the spiritual level. And this whole scenario is going to test all 3.
All your systems.
Yeah, it's going to test all 3. It's going to test your faith, it's going to test your mental resilience, and it's going to test your physical immunity.
Right.
And one thing that I have researched on and also practiced myself that I know will boost your immunity on all 3 is nothing other than fasting.
Oh, tell me.
Fasting will boost your immunity on a physical level. I mean, if you think about it, and if you look at animals, once they are ill, they stop eating.
That's true.
And humans are the only animals that would eat, and that's because we've been conditioned that we need to take medication.
Yes.
So if you think about it, children, when they're ill, even us when we're ill, we're not necessarily hungry. We just want to sleep.
Your appetite actually disappears.
Exactly. We can only take liquids. So, when we're younger, they'll make us all these herbal concoctions. We drink it, you sleep it out and sweat it out, because your body is designed to heal itself. It's designed to, once you create that environment for it. And so if you fast, you allow your body to heal.
Yes.
It would rest. It will purge out everything that it needs to purge out. It will sweat out what it needs to sweat out. When you're also fasting on a mental level, just the fact that you cannot eat and you have that goal that you need to get, okay, I'm breaking this at 12 o'clock, I'm breaking this at 3 o'clock. That mental push, it pushes your mental stamina and helps you expand on that. And then on a spiritual level as well, it helps your meditation, it helps your concentration as well. So fasting is an interesting practice
and should be really explored.
Yeah,
especially in this era where you're sitting right next to your pantry and you're eating everything in sight. Fasting is sort of like asking people to go in the opposite direction.
And it doesn't have to be a whole day's fast.
No.
It could just be skip 1 meal. Then as you get stronger, skip 2.
Right.
And then skip. And then I've also realized, as I got used to the physical fasting of not eating, I realized that, TV can be distracting for me. So this past week, I actually went on a TV fast.
Oh, wow.
So no TV.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was tough. It was tough, especially because of the lockdown. We're at home, and Netflixing was the only way. To get
your release. Yeah,
exactly. So fasting TV has been interesting, and I found myself. So I'm Christian, so I found myself reading Bible, and just reading books.
Right.
And just chilling, meditating. And it's been interesting.
Yes, very. And I just to follow up with what you said about finding another way, even though it's hard, but you then come out on the other side like a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And I had a dental procedure done that didn't allow me to eat like solid foods, and I found out that it took away the comfort that food gave me, and that was a huge struggle.
Wow.
I couldn't believe how
connected and attached to food you are.
Yes. So it's an interesting discovery, like when you start fasting or when you have to abstain, and that's why a lot of people don't do very well with it. But fasting is actually an amazing, spiritual and mental practice, especially, in these days. You access the divine better, you hear, you're more aware. Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for us today. Thank you all for tuning in with us. You can catch us on africabusinessradio.com. We're also Africa Business Radio on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we, Uyok and I, are at True Living Africa on Instagram. So until we see you the next time, watch out for the other series that we have for this COVID era. So something on mental health as well. So watch out for that, and we'll see you next time.